The skies of Earth burned as the Eliani Galactic Empire unleashed a merciless surprise attack. Massive alien warships materialized in orbit, disgorging swarms of fighters and dropships that rained destruction upon the unsuspecting planet. Cities crumbled under the onslaught, millions perishing as the Empire's superior technology tore through humanity's defenses like tissue paper. Amidst the chaos, former Special Forces soldier Billy Howard narrowly escaped the annihilation of his hometown. Haunted by his past and desperate to fight back, he rallied a ragtag band of survivors, fleeing to a secret underground bunker, one of many last-resort hideouts established by the governments of Earth. As the shell-shocked survivors tended to the wounded and grappled with despair, Billy learned the terrifying truth from intercepted alien communications. The Empire's ambush was merely the prelude to a full-scale invasion, an insatiable hunger for Earth's rare mineral resources, driving the aliens' relentless expansion across the stars. With the world's armies shattered and its leaders dead or captured, the future of humanity hung by a thread. But a glimmer of hope emerged, a critical weakness in the Eliani's seemingly invincible technology, an over-reliance on a single rare element, an element found only on the Empire's heavily guarded homeworld. Billy and his band of survivors now faced an impossible choice: surrender to the alien conquest and consign humanity to eternal slavery, or risk everything on a desperate mission to strike at the heart of the Galactic Empire itself. The stakes couldn't be higher, for the fate of not just Earth, but countless worlds subjugated by the Eliani rested on the shoulders of these unlikely heroes. The battle for humanity's survival had only just begun. As the ragtag band of survivors huddled in the secret underground bunker, a palpable mix of fear and determination hung in the air. Billy's teeth clenched as he studied the faces around him. His brother Jack, the brilliant Dr. Samantha Reeves, and the grizzled police officer Mike Ramirez, they were all that stood between humanity and total annihilation. "We can't just sit here and wait for the end," Billy said, his voice low and resolute. "We need to take the fight to them." Dr. Reeves nodded, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. "I've been analyzing the data we intercepted. The Eliani's technology is advanced, but it has a critical weakness: their reliance on elenium. If we can disrupt their supply, we could cripple their war machine," Jack finished, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Mike Ramirez cracked his knuckles. "I'm in, but how do we even get to their homeworld? It's not like we have a spaceship lying around." A slow smile spread across Billy's face. "Maybe we do." He led them deeper into the bunker, to a hangar bay hidden beneath layers of rock and steel. There, gathering dust, was an abandoned spacecraft, a relic from humanity's early forays into the stars. "She's not pretty," Billy admitted, running a hand along the ship's battered hull. "But with some work and a bit of alien tech we've scavenged, she'll fly." Over the next days and weeks, the survivors threw themselves into retrofitting the ship. They scoured the ruins of Earth for Eliani technology, integrating it into the vessel's systems. Dr. Reeves pored over the alien schematics, deciphering their secrets, while Jack and Mike worked tirelessly to upgrade the engines and weapons. At last the ship was ready. The ragtag crew strapped in, their faces grim with perseverance, as Billy guided them out of Earth's shattered atmosphere and into the cold embrace of space. The journey to the Eliani homeworld would be long and perilous, fraught with danger at every turn. But they had no choice. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. As they navigated the starways, dodging Eliani patrols and cosmic debris, an unexpected ally emerged from the shadows. Zara, an Eliani rebel with fire in her eyes and a lifetime of resentment towards her own people's tyrannical rule. She had been fighting a lonely battle against the Empire, sabotaging their installations and fomenting dissent among the subjugated alien races. "The Eliani's power is built on fear," Zara told them, her voice thick with bitterness. "Many of the species they've conquered secretly dream of liberation. If you strike at the heart of their empire, you won't be fighting alone." With Zara's knowledge of the Eliani's defenses and the layout of their homeworld, the human team's chances of success grew. They hatched a multi-pronged plan, each member playing to their strengths. Billy and Zara would lead a covert ground mission to sabotage the main Elanium mining facility, the lifeblood of the Eliani's war effort. Jack and Dr. Reeves would infiltrate the central research lab, seeking to uncover further weaknesses in the enemy's technology. And Mike Ramirez would take a squad of resistance fighters to launch guerrilla raids on Eliani military outposts, sowing chaos and diverting attention from the primary objectives. It was a desperate gamble, but it was the only chance humanity had. As the battered ship slipped into orbit around the heavily guarded Eliani planet, the team steeled themselves for the battles to come. They had crossed the vastness of space, risked everything on this one throw of the dice. Failure was not an option. Billy's grip tightened on his weapon as the hatch hissed open, revealing the alien landscape below. Towering metal spires pierced the skyline, pulsing with malevolent energy. Somewhere down there lay the key to humanity's salvation, or its ultimate doom. He glanced at Zara, seeing his own grim commitment mirrored in her eyes. "Let's go crack open that Elanium mine, partner." Together they plunged into the heart of the Eliani Empire, the fate of worlds resting on their shoulders. The battle for the future had begun. The battered ship limped back to Earth, its hull scarred from countless close encounters with Eliani patrols. As they entered the atmosphere, Billy's grip tightened on the controls. The once familiar skyline of his home planet was now an alien landscape of twisted metal and crumbling concrete. "There," Zara pointed, her alien features taut with concentration. "That's the resistance signal." Billy guided the ship towards a seemingly abandoned industrial complex. As they touched down, figures emerged from the shadows, weapons raised. Recognition dawned on their faces as Billy and his team disembarked. "You made it," breathed Sarah, a former Air Force pilot who had become a key figure in the Earth resistance. "We thought you were dead." "Not dead," Billy replied, his voice rough from exhaustion, "and we brought hope." In the underground bunker that served as the resistance headquarters, Billy's team shared their discoveries. Dr. Reeves spread out diagrams of Eliani technology, explaining the critical weaknesses they had uncovered. Jack demonstrated the devastating effects of Elanium disruption on salvaged alien tech. A spark of hope ignited in the eyes of the gathered survivors. For the first time since the invasion, they dared to believe in a future free from Eliani domination. Their celebration was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the complex, and a young resistance fighter burst into the room, his face pale with terror. "Massive Eliani fleet incoming. They're led by something we've never seen before." On the grainy view screen, a monstrous warship appeared, dwarfing even the largest Eliani vessels they had encountered. As they watched, it unleashed a barrage that vaporized an entire city block. "That's General Krovax," Zara hissed, her eyes narrowing. "The Emperor's most brutal enforcer. He's here to crush us once and for all." Billy's mind raced. They weren't ready for this level of assault. Not yet. "We need allies," he said, turning to his team. "Other races who've suffered under Eliani rule. Together we might stand a chance." Dr. Reeves nodded, already pulling up star charts. "I think I know where we can start. The Thalnians. Their homeworld isn't far, and they've been resisting Eliani occupation for years." "It's risky," Jack warned. "The Thalnians are notorious for their distrust of outsiders." "We don't have a choice," Billy replied, his voice grim. "Zara, you're with me. The rest of you, stay here and coordinate the resistance. Buy us as much time as you can." As Billy and Zara prepared for their desperate mission, the sounds of battle echoed above. Krovax's forces were tightening their grip on Earth, but the spark of rebellion had been lit. In the depths of the bunker, Dr. Reeves and Jack pored over the stolen Eliani data, searching for the key that could turn the tide of war. The fate of Earth, and countless other worlds, now rested on a razor's edge. As their ship blasted off into the star-studded void, Billy allowed himself a moment of doubt. Then he pushed it aside, focusing on the task ahead. The Thalnians awaited, and with them, perhaps the first step towards a free galaxy. The Thalnian homeworld loomed before them, a swirling orb of blue and green, marbled with wisps of silver clouds. Billy's hands tightened on the ship's controls as they approached the planet's turbulent upper atmosphere. Incoming transmission, Zara announced, her fingers dancing across the alien console. A gruff voice crackled through the speakers. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted Thalnian airspace. State your purpose or be destroyed. Billy took a deep breath. This is Billy Howard of Earth. We come seeking alliance against the Eliani Empire. Silence stretched for long moments. Then, proceed to landing coordinates. Any deviation will result in immediate termination. As they descended through roiling storm clouds, a sprawling city materialized beneath them. Towering spires of crystalline material jutted into the sky, connected by an intricate web of elevated roadways. Their ship touched down on a circular landing pad, where a contingent of Thalnian soldiers awaited. The Thalnians were imposing figures, tall, broad-shouldered, with iridescent scales covering their bodies and piercing yellow eyes. Their leader, a scarred veteran with a cybernetic arm, stepped forward as Billy and Zara disembarked. I am Commander Zorn, he rumbled. You claim to seek alliance. Prove your worth. Over the next days, Billy and Zara shared their intelligence on Eliani weaknesses, demonstrated the effects of Elanium disruption, and recounted their daring mission to the enemy homeworld. Slowly, the Thalnian suspicion gave way to cautious interest. Your tactics are bold, Zorn admitted, studying the battle plans they had drawn up. But how can we trust you? Before Billy could respond, alarms blared throughout the city. A young Thalnian burst into the war room, his scales pale with fear. Eliani ships entering the system. It's a full-scale invasion force. Zorn's eyes narrowed. It seems your presence has brought the Empire to our doorstep. Then let us prove ourselves in battle, Billy said, meeting the commander's gaze. Give us a ship, and we'll show you what we can do against these bastards. A tense moment passed before Zorn nodded. Very well. To your stations. All of you. Let us see if these humans are worthy allies after all. As they raced to the hangar bay, Zara grabbed Billy's arm. This is our chance. If we can turn the tide here, we might just have a real shot at liberating Earth. Billy's teeth clenched as he climbed into the cockpit of a sleek Thalnian fighter. The enemy was coming, but this time, they would be ready. As the first Eliani ships breached the atmosphere, Billy's voice crackled over the comm channel. All wings, form up on me. Let's show these Eliani what happens when they mess with a united galaxy. The battle for Thalnia and the future of the Resistance had begun. The Thalnian and human fighters tore through the Eliani invasion force, their combined tactics catching the enemy off guard. Billy's voice crackled over the comms, coordinating the assault with a precision born of desperation and hard-won experience. Zara, on your 6, he shouted, his fighter rolling to intercept an Eliani cruiser bearing down on his alien ally. Their ships danced through the chaos, plasma bolts and energy beams crisscrossing the Thalnian sky. As the last Eliani vessel erupted in a ball of fire, a ragged cheer went up across the Allied frequencies. Commander Zorn's gruff voice cut through the celebration. Impressive, humans. Perhaps there is hope for this alliance after all. In the days that followed, strategies were crafted, alliances forged, and a daring plan set in motion. The combined might of Earth survivors, the Thalnian warriors, and a growing coalition of alien races struck at the heart of the Eliani Empire. The final battle was a maelstrom of destruction that seemed to stretch across half the galaxy. Billy found himself at the controls of a massive Thalnian dreadnought, barking orders as they punched through the Eliani's last line of defense. Now, Dr. Reeves, he commanded, and watched as the fruits of the scientist's labor, a weapon that disrupted the very fabric of Elanium-based technology, tore through the enemy fleet seamlessly. In the end, the Eliani capital fell. Billy stood in the shattered remains of the Emperor's throne room, Zara and Commander Zorn flanking him as the once mighty Zarentine was led away in chains. But victory brought little joy. As their ships limped back to Earth, the toll of their hard-fought war became painfully clear. Continents lay in ruin, great cities reduced to rubble. The taste of ash lingered in the air as Billy stepped onto the soil of his homeworld. Sarah, the resistance leader, who had kept hope alive on Earth, met them at the landing site. Her face was gaunt, etched with the weight of all they had endured. "Welcome home," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. In the days that followed, the enormity of their task became clear. Earth was a shattered husk, its population decimated. As they worked to establish some semblance of order, cracks began to form in their hard-won alliance. Billy found Jack in what remained of their childhood home, staring blankly at a singed family photograph. "We did it, Jack," Billy said, placing a hand on his brother's shoulder. "We won." Jack didn't respond, his eyes haunted by horrors Billy could only imagine. In her makeshift lab, Dr. Reeves pored over schematics, her hands shaking. "I never wanted this," she murmured, pushing away blueprints stained with Eliani blood. "My work was meant to save lives, not this." Even as they struggled to rebuild, new threats emerged. General Tarak, once an ally in their fight against the Empire, now rallied Eliani loyalists to his banner. His forces struck without warning, targeting vulnerable outposts and sabotaging reconstruction efforts. "We can't let him undo everything we fought for," Billy growled, banging his hand on the war room table. The faces around him, human, Thalnian, and a dozen other species, were grim with commitment. They tracked Tarak to a hidden base deep in an asteroid field. As Billy led a strike team to infiltrate the facility, the general's mad laughter echoed through the corridors. "You think you've won?" Tarak sneered. "I'll show you the true meaning of victory." In the ensuing firefight, Mike Ramirez threw himself in front of a plasma blast meant for Billy. As the light faded from his friend's eyes, Billy felt something harden inside him. They would end this, here and now. They cornered Tarak in the base's control room, but the Eliani general's fingers hovered over a pulsing red button. "One last gift," he snarled, "from the Empire you thought you'd broken." Billy lunged forward, but it was too late. Tarak's hand came down, and on the interface they watched in horror as the Eliani homeworld erupted in apocalyptic fire. As they dragged the captured Tarak away, Billy stared at the smoldering remains of a once mighty civilization. The price of victory, it seemed, was steeper than any of them could have imagined.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.